I was doing similar work up in the Bay Area before that.
All right, well, it's 7 o'clock. We have a quorum. I'll still be admitting people for a little while, but I think we can go ahead and proceed. So I will call this meeting to order. This is the October meeting of the Mira Mesa Community Planning Group. I'm Jeff Stevens, Chair of the Planning Group. So often we have a community plan update meeting immediately preceding the planning group meeting. We didn't have one last month or this month, but I am told that as of next month, we should have a good one. So be ready for that. And that will probably start at 5:30 prior to the meeting. So we will go on with non-agenda public comment. I know there was at least one from Qua.
Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, Qua.
Thank you. My name is Kwa Win, and tonight I'm representing a gentleman by the name of Hayes Razuki. Hayes recently acquired in the last couple of weeks a cannabis production facility located at 9212 Mira Estate Court. That MFT, or that cannabis production facility, was approved by the city 3 years ago. Unfortunately, there were some issues with the owners, and that location went into receivership. So Hayes bought the property out of receivership 2 weeks ago, and because the project hadn't had any tenant improvements or anything happening with the project, there was a possibility that the CUP could be lost. So what we did within the last week was filed a request for an extension of time, which would allow us to get back on track, do the tenant improvements, get the building permits and all that, and open the production facility. This is a process too, and as part of the process, the planning group is required to be informed. So I just wanted to I wanted to let you all know that we are filing the extension of time, and the project itself, there are no new changes as was originally approved by the project. So we're doing exactly what was originally approved. We're not making any changes or anything like that. And so with that, I just wanted to let you inform the group. And if the group would like a formal presentation, then we could certainly talk about that. But the city really requires that we just inform the planning group and have the planning group let the city know that we came before you and inform you of the changes. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Qua. Actually, we're not supposed to do questions without agenda public comment. I will ask the planning group, though. This came up too late to be on the agenda, and given Qua's description of it, I didn't think it was something we really needed to take any action on, or really hear any more than the notification. Is there anyone who disagrees with that and wants would like a presentation on this project?
This is Lil, and I'm fine with no presentation. Qua made it clear that there was no changes to the plan, so I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, well, hearing no one say otherwise, Qua, we have been informed. That's all you need to do. Any other public comment tonight? Right, hearing none, we'll go on to modifications to the agenda. I don't have any modifications to the agenda tonight. We need to adopt the previous meeting minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, in that case,
we adopt them.
we have a motion to adopt. I think we'll use this as an opportunity to get a roll call too. So
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion second to adopt the minutes. Tiffany, can you call the roll?
Yeah, and I'm not sure, was it Craig Jackson that just
Yes.
made the motion? Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call. Kent Lee,
Approve.
Andrew, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, so please feel free to correct me. McCulisac?
It's McClusick.
McClusick. Thank
Yeah,
you,
like
sorry.
Like music. And I approve.
Okay, Lilith,
I'm here.
and
And
do you
I
approve?
approve the minutes.
Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you. Ian Kerman? Nope. Craig made the motion. Ralph Carolyn?
Yes, I approve.
Okay, John Labaugh? Joe, and Joe, I think you seconded it, didn't?
Yes, I did.
Yes, okay, thank you. Barry Vaz,
Approve.
Jeff Stevens, yes.
Approve.
Dorothy Lorenz,
Approve.
Rose Wong, Craig Radke,
Approve.
Julia Schreiber, okay. Harkishan Parikh,
Yes.
okay. Marvin Miles, Justin Mandelbaum,
Approve.
and Mike Linton. Nope, and then I approve as well. Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
okay.
Those are approved. We'll go on to report of the chair. I've got a few things to report. One is we have a business vacancy. Rose Wang has missed too many meetings, so I'm going to declare that seat vacant. So we will be looking for another business member. If anyone wants to recommend someone or suggest to someone that they apply for it, please let me know. We'll keep that open for at least a month, maybe longer, depending on whether we get volunteers for it. Well, other people I need to talk to about their attendance also. But Rose is the only one who's really missed too many. Mail, there were a cycle report and some plan changes for the headquarters point development. That we already approved back in June. I sent those plans to Craig and Lilith to review since they reviewed it earlier. And did you take a look at that yet, Craig?
Yes, I've looked at them. There are substantial changes to it, all of which are really related to stormwater drainage, adding another floor, altering everything that doesn't affect the outside appearance or anything that would affect actually the building or the two buildings as there are. So I found nothing that was of concern after reading through many, many pages.
Okay, yeah, I thought there was so much that came through. I thought have at least someone look at it. So thanks for doing that. Also received a NORA for a special event permit for the marching band and field show on November 6th. They're not having a parade this year, but there will be a road closure on Marauder Way. So I think that's why the school district needed a special event permit. Also a NORA for a subdivision of a lot at 8896 Aquarius Drive. This is a large lot that they want to split and add a second 2,400 square foot unit. We actually reviewed that quite a long time ago. I think it was in 2019. So it's just taken a long time for that one to proceed. Also got a notice of future decision for extension of time for the conditional use permit at 9212 Mira Mesa Court. That's what Qual was describing earlier. And then some information from the On Point Tech Center, which is requesting a community plan amendment to build industrial on an area that is currently mostly zoned or mostly in the community plan as open space off of Carroll Canyon Road near 805. We'll hear that presentation tonight. All right, we'll go on. I already mentioned there's a business member vacancy. So we'll go on to Alex Frost. Do you have anything to tell us about the community plan update?
Hi, Jeff. Good evening, everyone. Alex Frost, project manager for the Mira Mesa Community Plan Update. We didn't have a meeting this month, but we are progressing on the modeling effort. We received the outputs from Sandag for the recommended land use and the one alternative land use. So our mobility team will be ready to present at the November meeting. So that's the big update.
Can you send that to me, Alex?
When it's available, the whole, I haven't even seen the output, but when it's all packaged and ready, yeah, I will send it to you.
Okay, you can even send it prepackaged if
Alex, one question for you.
Mhm.
In the traffic plan, things coming from Sandag, is the Sorrento Valley Boulevard, Cali Cristobal under consideration now?
For transit,
Yes.
Sorrento Valley Boulevard, no, I believe the model did not incorporate any transit on Sorrento Valley Boulevard or Cali Cristobal. But we will be making sure to have a policy. There just isn't sufficient density, at least for the modeling purposes.
Well, I guess I would take exception to that conclusion, Alex, because I think there is a substantial density of housing, particularly along Cali Cristobal, Sorrento Valley and Pacific Ridge, which is there along Sorrento Valley Boulevard. The housing density is not so great, but there is absolutely no public transport at all on either of those two streets, and they are used as major corridors for automobile traffic in and out. And they have a substantial bad track record of accidents.
yeah, just to amplify it a little bit, Alex, I mean, if they really want to get us all out of our cars, which seems to be their assumption, there have to be alternatives, even for places that are a little ways away from the major transit routes. All right. Any other questions for Alex?
I do have one.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken that we have not had a CPU meeting the last 2 months? We were supposed to hear a historic preservation component. Is that going to be heard at the next meeting? And do we have any idea what that encompasses?
It's historic. So the historic planner was not ready to present. So that's why it was delayed. There is a historic survey was conducted of Mira Mesa windshield survey. And then there is a historic context statement. So these are all reports for the CEQA analysis. So when all of the technical studies are completed, then that's when our historic planner will present to this group, probably in January. So we're working on the community discussion draft right now. So that's going to be the big task next 3 months in the mobility analysis. And so hopefully at the January meeting, we'll have a presentation on historic.
Thanks, Alex, because as odd as a concept as that seems, by city standards, much of older Mira Mesa is now considered historic, and by National Trust standards, oldest parts of Mira Mesa are now rolling into their qualifications. And some of those come with legal restrictions, or at the very least, extra paperwork you have to do if you are doing anything to your home.
Correct. I think 45 years is the threshold.
Right, that's for the city.
Mhm.
I think my house is a little over that. So I guess I'm historic.
You are, according to the city of San Diego, both of our homes are historic.
Okay, any more questions for Alex?
As far as historic goes, it's the houses, not the people who live in them.
All right, we'll go on to new business. Well, the first item on the agenda is the San Diego Pure Water Program update. Sarah?
All right, let me share my screen.
So hi, everyone. This is John Stufflebean. So I'm the Assistant Director for Public Utilities for the city, responsible for pure water and technical services. And we've got several people here to give you the presentation. And if I go on to the next slide. So we're going to do quick introductions. And so I've introduced myself, and then we'll just go kind of down in this order. So Steve.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Steve Lindsay, Senior Construction Engineer for the Pure Water Conveyance. And I'll be working with the next gentleman here who is the Construction Manager. Clem?
Good evening. I'm Clem Vostenberg. I'm the Construction Manager for the North City Pure Water Pipeline and Group Job 1038.
I'm Sean McCarty. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for Pure Water and all conveyance aspects of Pure Water.
And I'm Sarah Rosetto, and I'm the Community Outreach Liaison for this project.
Okay, and we're going to do a quick update of the Pure Water Program. I think a lot of you know about it, but I'm going to do a very quick overview of kind of what it is, and then we'll do an update, and then we'll talk about kind of the issues that directly affect your area in terms of the pipelines that are going nearby, and then kind of plans for how we're going to distribute the information in the future. So Sarah, next slide. Okay, so just as a brief overview of Pure Water, again, I know some of you already know this, but others might be new to you. Pure Water starts here. This is the Point Loma wastewater treatment plant. This is where most of the sewage generated in the San Diego region goes to, and it discharges wastewater into the ocean. But it's an unusual plant in a couple of respects. One is that it only has primary treatment, which is kind of the first level of treatment. Most plants around the country have what's called secondary treatment, which means additional treatment beyond this. In fact, that's the standard. So the city was faced a few years ago with the need to build secondary treatment on this, in addition to this treatment that exists there. And as you can also see, the other thing that's unusual about this site is it's on the side of a cliff. So where would you put that? So the city looked at, what other option do we have? And the purpose of secondary treatment would be to reduce discharge of pollutants into the ocean. And so the city developed this notion, the idea, which we're now implementing, that rather than build additional secondary treatment, we'll just divert water away from this facility, the wastewater away from this facility, the sewage, and treat it, and it'll become our water supply, the pure water supply. So next slide. And in terms of where our existing water comes from, again, many of you probably know this, but if you kind of start at the bottom, most of our water is imported. About 85% of the water on average that we use in the area is imported, mostly from the Colorado River, others from Northern California. And I'm sure many of you have been reading about the Colorado River. It's overallocated and drying up. And so there are lots of issues with the current water supply. And so the pure water is a response to that, to develop a local supply of water that's reliable and sustainable. And so currently, this is the way our water system works. The water goes in from the bottom, goes into reservoirs. The city operates 10 reservoirs. Then it goes around clockwise from the reservoirs to 3 different drinking water treatment plants, and then up to homes and businesses. And then the water then becomes wastewater, and most of it again is discharged at Point Loma in that first picture. And then some of it we already reclaim, and we have a water reclamation plant that produces non-potable water, which means you can't drink it. It's used for irrigation mostly, little industrial use too. What Pure Water does, and Sarah already advanced to complete the circle. What Pure Water does is it takes the water from the water reclamation plant, which will be expanding, and puts it through another treatment process at the Pure Water plant, which is very advanced treatment. And from there, it can be put right back in the reservoirs. So that's how Pure Water, completes the circle and then provides local supply of water. And it would mention, some people say, well, this is hard to understand why this is important or why we would do this. Currently there are about 400 discharges of wastewater into the Colorado River in Northern California. So, I guess it's nothing new for San Diego and almost all cities. So we're just doing it kind of locally. Next slide. And this is the overview of Pure Water. It's 2 phases. Phase 1 is the north phase, and that's the one that's under construction that affects your area. And as you can see, the North City plant is where the current reclamation plant is. It's right at 805, just north of Miramar Road. That's the plant that's being expanded. And then, as I said, across the street, an entirely new Pure Water plant with 5 different advanced treatment technologies is being used to create pure water, which then is pumped over to Miramar Reservoir, which is where the water treatment plant is. There wasn't enough sewage coming in here naturally, so we were also building a pump station to pump additional sewage up to this location. And this is a 30 million gallon per day project, and it's scheduled to be completed in 2025. So it's well under construction. About in another 4 years it'll be done, and it'll provide this will be the water supply for the north, a good part of the water supply for the north part of the city. Then phase 2, if you can click on the slide. Phase 2 is the second phase, which is the central area. This is in the final planning stages. And whereas phase 1 was 2025, phase 2 is planned to be completed by 2035. And this is again, almost twice as big as phase 1, we'll be building entirely new facilities, one by the airport, one south of where the old Murphy Stadium used to be. And then that will treat the wastewater from the central part of town, and it will be discharged into either Lake Murray or San Vicente Reservoir. That decision's still being made. So when you put these 2 together, the north plus the central, Pure Water will be providing half of the water supply for the city of San Diego, which will really reduce the demands for the imported water. And the other thing to mention about imported water is the price is going way up. In 2015, it was $600 an acre foot. Next year, it's $18.43 per acre foot. So it's really increasing in terms of cost. So Pure Water actually is, even though it's expensive, it's cheaper than the alternative. The alternative being building the secondary treatment at Point Loma and buying imported water. So next slide. So this is the kind of the overview and kind of where the neighborhoods are. Down at the bottom is the Marina Pump Station, the little purple circle. You can see the pipeline going up through there to the north, to where the facilities are. That's called the Marina Pipeline. And there's some neighborhoods that we're involved with down there, Bay Park, Claremont, so on. Then in the middle is the University City Eastgate Mall neighborhoods. And then from there, the Pure Water, so that, that's a pipeline that's containing basically wastewater, sewage. Then after the Pure Water is produced at the north site, it's then pumped 8 miles across, mostly on Miramar Road, over to the Miramar Reservoir, which is at Scripps Ranch. And that's where the treatment plant is. So we have these various neighborhood groups in these various areas that we've been working with for years to get their input, listen to the recommendations. And as you can see, the Pure Water project actually consists of 11 separate construction projects, several pipeline projects, the reclamation plant project, the Pure Water project, some pump stations. Altogether, the Pure Water projects, for just the north phase, the first phase, is over $1 billion, the 11 projects. It is the biggest and most complicated capital improvement project the city has ever done, and it's under construction. Next slide. And this just shows kind of the construction packages that specifically affect this area, the North City Pure Water Facility and Pump Station and the Pure Water Pipeline, and kind of the scheduling. They're basically under construction, and scheduled completion is 2025. Of course, they're constructed in phases, and we'll go, Clem and Stephen will go through the details of that in terms of what's happening, what will be happening in your area. And this is my last slide. This just shows kind of the actual route of the Pure Water from the Pure Water treatment facility on the left side there. And there's a pump station and that pumps will be pumping the Pure Water, mostly across Miramar Road, about 8 miles long, and it'll pump it into the Miramar Reservoir. So with that, next slide, I'm going to turn it over to our construction experts who will be walking you through kind of exactly what's going to be happening. So Clem, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, John. Focusing on the 8-mile stretch of pipe that we're going to be installing between the treatment facility and the reservoir, the contractor's work is generally broken up into 3 different activities. The first one being potholing, the second one pipeline installation, and the third one the work around the reservoir, or the subaqueous pipe as we're calling it. Currently, the potholing activity is happening. That's the construction phase that we're in. The contractor will be working his way from the east of the alignment towards the west. Over the last 2 months, he's completed all the potholing work east of the 15, and he has now started on the west side. So the majority of the activity will obviously be on Miramar Road and Eastgate Mall. However, we're also including Kearney Villa Road, Candida Street, Via Passar, and Via Excellencia.
And Clem, I just wanted to note for those who don't know, in this case, potholes are good things. What potholing means in the construction industry is they poke little holes in the ground to find out where the existing utilities are.
Oh.
So it's basically the proceed. We have maps that show where utilities are, but they're often not exactly correct. So before you go on a big construction project, you actually dig some holes to verify where the utilities are, to make sure that you're not going to hit them as you do the construction. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, John. So the working hours for the potholing is going to be from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. The contractor is working 4 shifts, Monday through Thursday. This potholing work, like John said, is mainly smaller crews. They're either operating with a jackhammer or a Vector truck, digging down to the individual utilities to confirm elevation and alignment. And for that, we don't really take any access away from residents, businesses, or emergency vehicles, even though there's going to be some traffic control for worker safety and public safety, but there will be no full road closures or detours. And we anticipate the completion of this potholing work by the end of 2021. Once the potholing work is completed and all the locations are confirmed, we will be starting to install the pipeline in 2022. This is obviously heavier construction. As you can see on the picture, these are massive pipes and big equipment that will be in the street to install these pipes. So the working hours for this work will be 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And we will maintain access to residents, businesses, and emergency vehicles again. However, there is a possibility that you will expect some delays around the construction zone due to the more elaborate traffic control, again, for safety of the public and worker safety. However, 1 lane in both directions will be open at all times. Since we're also installing a 16-inch water main in roughly the same alignment as a 48-inch steel pipe, there might be scheduled water outages. However, I do not believe that these will impact your neighborhood. These will be generally along the alignment, plus probably 1 block in each direction. In case there are scheduled water outages, the public will be notified in advance. Nothing will be unscheduled. And these will again happen at night, so that the general public is usually not impacted by these outages as much. What you will see if you drive along the alignment or Miramar Road during construction, you'll see probably construction equipment and a limited amount of material that will be staged and move along with the contractor's construction operation. The work also includes tunneling work, one of them under the I-15, and there's also tunneling work from the treatment plant into the reservoir and towards Meanly Court, also Miramar Road under the railroad tracks. So these operations could be ongoing for 24/7, with the exception of the one in Miramar Road. The third phase would be the reservoir work or the subaqueous pipeline. That is actually the discharge pipeline. that will use duckbill valves to release the pure water into the reservoir. That work will happen during the daytime. We have a work window from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. However, the contractor has not picked his exact working hours yet. That work will be ongoing Mondays to Fridays. So while the contractor works, he is required to maintain trail access and parking. And he has to control his work in the intersections, which the biggest impact will be the HDPE pipe that is fusion welded in the parking lot, and the contractor has to pull that into the reservoir where it's being floated and then sunk to the reservoir bottom. However, he will be required to even as he's pulling pipe, he can only generate limited access, or he has to provide the public with either like a ramp that allows safe crossing over the pipeline while the work goes on, or he's going to have to excavate a temporary trench to pull his pipes through that. While we're working, the lake will be closed for boating. And unfortunately, we don't have the subcontractor on board yet that will provide us the exact dates for this limitation. However, the fishing from shore will be maintained around most of the lake, other than, of course, where our construction is, we can't allow that. Next slide, please. This shows you the alignment in a little bit more of detail. The line in the reservoir here that you see is a representation of the subaqueous pipeline. The subaqueous pipeline ranges from 54 inches in the main trunk of what looks like a tree here to down to 8-inch branches that distribute the pure water into the reservoir in the various locations where it's discharged. And it's being discharged through the 94 duckbill valves that are spread through this distribution tree. Again, the construction in this area will be in the daytime, window 7 a.m. to 4:30. No boating, fishing will be allowed. However, recreation and the trails will be accessible. Next slide, please. This is part of the tunneling work. Right next to it says Mira Water Treatment Plant to the left. There's going to be an access shaft that the contractor uses to A, tunnel into the reservoir, and to B, tunnel in the other direction towards the private property on the south side of Evans Pond here. Next slide. From the south of Evans Pond, the line then continues on the private property in an easement on the private property that the city obtained into Meanley Court and then down Hoyt Park. The tunneling operation stops at Evan Pond, and from there it's all going to be open trench. And again, the contractor will be working night hours in all these open trench installation areas. The dechlorination facility that's on not within the street, however, it's between the cul-de-sac and the dog park. So that's a small property, and the contractor will be working in the daytime there. Okay, next slide. Here the alignment continues again down Hoyt Park Drive, goes down Scripps Boulevard, Carroll Canyon Road, and then turns left on Business Park Avenue. Same as before, all night work. On Business Park, it then goes into the Horse Ranch property, and there on the east side of the freeway will be a receiving pit, and the contractor will be tunneling from the west side of the I-15 into this pit. That's 24/7 work. Everything else in the public right-of-way will continue to be night work. Here you see the area that the contractor is currently conducting the potholing in on Via Excellencia, Candida Street, and Kearney Villa Road. And he's actually starting this week on Miramar Road. This is all night work. We're currently coordinating with the military base to discuss impacts with them. We've also notified all the businesses along the alignment, so everybody is aware of the ongoing work and that we're coming with our work. It's all going to be night work. Here we're continuing along Miramar Road, pretty much more of the same. Miramar Road, all night work. And here the alignment turns onto Eastgate, and from there continues onto Eastgate to the new pure water facility over there. Again, this is all night work, and these areas have not been notified because we're still a while out. However, we'll start coordination with them soon as well. And here's the termination of this project. The other project, like John mentioned, had further south on the other side of the 805. That pretty much summarizes the construction activities.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and I know we're going long, so I'll keep this nice and short, but we wanted to share with you now that we have some of the preliminary construction activities underway and pipeline construction slated for 2022. That we can kind of arm you with information to stay up to date as we get closer and when we get more defined schedule information, because understandably that's your primary question probably is when would you be near Mira Mesa? And as of now, we are still waiting on the details of that construction schedule, but this is sort of what to expect. We do have a multi-layered informational materials and inquiry system that we are already using in order to both get the word out about updates, including the preliminary potholing work, but also as a way to get ongoing input from the community about how it's going. We have an updated website at purewatersd.org. That is going to be the hub of all of our information moving forward, including our construction notices. We have just updated the website with project pages for every individual project, and we have a cool interactive map where you can zoom in on the different project areas and where we'll be including all of the construction zones as work is happening in different areas. We also have a phone line. I'll make sure you have this presentation, but please do jot this down. If you interface with any of the construction and have any questions, you can always call this number. It goes to our outreach team and we respond within 1 business day. The phone line is 833-647-7973. We also have an email address. It's purewatersd@sandiego.gov. That also goes to our outreach team and we're monitoring that daily. We are putting information on social media and we'll be working with community news outlets to get the word out when we get closer to construction. And up to this point, we have been sending updates via email. We have an e-blast system and via direct mail. So direct mail is primarily used for people along the alignment. So if you haven't received a letter from us, don't fear. It just means you're outside of our immediate area. A great way to stay up to date is with our e-blasts, and you can sign up for that on purewatersd.org. We'll also be using meetings regularly to give updates. So we expect to be back periodically when we have new information. And then this applies to any of you that either live or work along the alignment. We will be taking a block by block approach when it comes to our construction notices. And that's just to make sure that we're giving as accurate of information as possible, given that large scale construction can really be quite dynamic in schedule. So we will be distributing multiple notices to properties immediately along the alignment. And part of what Clem was talking about with meeting with all of the businesses is to get a real feel for which of the businesses have overnight operations or access needs, since most of this work will be happening at night. So that's a big part of our approach as well. Lastly, I'll put this in the chat after the presentation, but my email address is a great one to also keep on hand. It's srosetto@sandiego.gov, and We're always looking for ideas for community presentations or community events to attend for getting the word out to the community. So if you have any recommendations, please do email me and we can coordinate. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Go ahead and close out your screen. I'll ask it for questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Did the problems with SDG&E about this project ever get resolved?
We're still working through it. Yeah, there's still some issues that we're working through with SDG&E.
So is that going to stop the production like it has in the past, or are we going to be able to work through those things?
It is not affecting the schedule at this point. We think we can work through them and not have an impact on the schedule.
What's the problem with SDG&E?
It's briefly, it's a dispute over who pays for relocating the SDG lines that are in the way of the pure water pipes.
I see. Okay. Other questions? Andrew, you have your hand up?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. Has this project been fully funded? And if so, what were the source of funding?
Sure. Yes. Phase 1 is fully funded. The sources of funding include a federal loan, a very low interest loan from the federal government, a state loan, state revolving fund loan, some grants from the state and the federal, also grant from MET, which is the Metropolitan Water Agency up that actually we buy our water from. It goes through California, through the Water Authority. So we have loans and grants, and the rest of it comes from the water and sewer rates that people in San Diego pay. And as I mentioned earlier, if this wasn't done, those rates would actually end up being higher in 2035 than when they have been with pure water. So it is fully funded.
Other questions? I have one. So what you're treating here is sewage, right? And what do you do with the materials that are taken out of the water? You get this beautiful clean water coming out one pipe. There must be another pipe with the rest of it that goes somewhere.
Right. We call it residuals. When the water that goes in, about 85% of it becomes pure water, and 15% of it becomes residuals. There's 3 different types of residuals. One is called biosolids, which comes kind of out of the first processes. All the biosolids go to MBC, the Metropolitan Biocenter, which is down by the Miramar landfill. And we have anaerobic digesters down there. That material goes in anaerobic digesters where it's digested and to basically stabilize it. And that process creates methane gas, which we use in engines and create our own energy. So we create almost all the energy we need for the program in those digesters, from the gas in the digesters. And then what comes out of the digesters is then in fairly high quality, and it's trucked to farmlands. So basically all that's used. Then the other material from the pure water plant, there's a material called brine, which is the heart of the pure water plant is a reverse osmosis process, which is a filter that is so fine that water passes through, but salt doesn't. And salt molecules are just a little bit bigger than water molecules. So water goes through, salt doesn't. So the brine is mostly just really salty water. And it is then piped on down to Point Loma, where it can be discharged into the Point Loma plant and then ultimately into the ocean.
Thank you. Other questions?
I have one. You mentioned with the notifications of the businesses on construction and that some of this is very dynamic. You also mentioned that there will be times when the water supply has to be cut off, which is not every moment of construction. Will you be working closely with the businesses, some of whom may rely on needing water supply overnight, to let them know exactly when that water supply will be shut off and whatever they need to do to flush their systems, etc.?
You want me to answer that, Sarah?
Sure, you can start.
Yeah, that is part of our work, and that's why Sarah and her team are pretty much going door to door along the alignment to find out which businesses we identify that cannot easily absorb any water outages. And once these are identified, we work with them, and So far, we've always found ways, whether we're providing them with a temporary feed or just a water truck for these outage hours. Water outages might be from 8 to 10 hours. So usually there is a way around it. It's just a matter of coordination.
And we're talking about our breweries.
That a brewery would be Highline. I'm not sure if you've seen them before, if you've noticed the city's water construction during times that we're installing new water mains, you might see 2-inch diameter pipes in the gutter. Those are temporary highlines that are being fed, and they have jumpers to the individual service connections. And from there, every property, every residence is being fed. That's good enough for domestic water use. It just doesn't provide any fire service during construction. However, it's enough to even feed a brewery. And if we need to, we adjust the size.
All right. Any last questions? In that case, we'll move on. Thank you very much. That was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next agenda item is an action item. This is project 695725, Vista Sorrento. Unfortunately, I didn't make a note of who is giving the presentation, so can you identify yourself?
Representing where Malcolm tonight will be Brian Koshley, Regional Director.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you very much. So let me hit the share screen button here for all of you. Tonight we'll be taking a look at a project that we are working on at 10251 Vista Sorrento Parkway. As I mentioned, you've got several representatives tonight of Ware Malcolm, the design firm responsible for the project. A little bit of background for us. We've been here in San Diego now since the late 70s, 24 offices in North America and one here in Sorrento Valley and also downtown San Diego. And with us tonight also is our client, Trammell Crow Company.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. My name's Chris Tippery with Trammell Crow Company, and I lead our San Diego development team. So in addition to our partners at Ware Malcolm, I'm also joined by Mike Hodges and Mike Annunziata. They're our exceptional team making this thing happen. Since we haven't had the pleasure of presenting to you previously, I just wanted to briefly introduce our organization. We are a 75-year-old development firm. We specialize on all the major commercial product types, life science, office, industrial, multifamily, and retail, among others. At the core of our business model, we focus on building the absolute best project in the best market, and this is absolutely no exception. So we're owned by CBRE, which is, and we are currently the nation's largest developer. And I mention that not to be boastful in any way, just to note our ability to perform on developments of this size and scale. And I think that's important for the community stakeholders to know that going in, who's taking these steps to make these things happen. So we want to thank you all in advance for your time. We've had a wonderful experience so far working with all the city staff. We expect nothing less working with the community here. I'll pass it back over to Brian, the real talent, and he can walk you through the project.
Thank you, Chris. So to start off with, what we thought we'd do is take a look at what is currently on the site. So if you can see this screen right now, there is an existing building and parking structure.
No, we're not seeing any. You're not sharing your screen right now.
Yeah,
I'm not sharing my
yet,
screen.
Brian.
I hit share. Let me try again. How about that?
Yes.
That's getting it.
Perfect.
There it is.
Apologize, everybody. Thought you were seeing what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a quick site plan of what's there currently, which, as I mentioned, is the 72,000 square foot two-story office building over basement. In the bottom right, you can see the view from the 805 and the existing FBI building directly to the north. What essentially we're going to propose is a new 3-story over basement life science oriented research and development building, totaling about 115,000 square feet. This building will essentially remain on the exact location of the existing office building right now, which will be demolished. It will be 1 story higher and it will be slightly larger in footprint. But overall will really not disturb the existing parking in the back or the existing parking structure. And then in addition, we'll be doing landscape improvements on the Vista Sorrento side that faces the 805. This first slide here would be looking from Vista Sorrento from the drive aisle. You can see that you've got 3 stories over a basement level for the building itself, made up of white metal with wood cladding on the underside of the eaves. You also see the balconies here facing the freeway. What's interesting to note, if you look at the bottom section of this montage, our new building is in the center. And even though we're 3 stories over basement and a story taller than what was there before, we are still significantly shorter in height than the adjacent FBI building. And we pretty much fit into the context of the buildings on either side of the project. This next shot here, you would be looking again from Vista Sorrento. This view, you're looking south. I think one of the things we're most proud of with the project, as Chris pointed out, is just the quality of the project that Trammell had asked us to put together. It's a very contemporary project. It'll be very appealing to the life science community. It's slated again as a research and development facility to be about 50% office, 50% lab. And as a result, even though it's a larger overall total square footage, we anticipate that it will be occupied less densely than the existing office building that's there now. What we find with a lot of the life science research and development projects is that your scientists are either in their offices or they're in their labs, but they can't be in both. So with that 50-50 split, we find that these office developments for life science really impact traffic a lot less. You get less commutes to the site. And overall, it should be a very minimal impact to Vista Sorrento and the surrounding neighborhoods. Another view here kind of showing how the building is cut into the existing slope. So this basement level here, and then the 3 stories above grade. We're really taking a good look at energy conservation as part of the development of the project. We are going to be compliant with the Cal Green Code requirements. We are on target to try to achieve LEED certification for the building. And so we're really hopeful that this is going to be a very sustainable and very environmental friendly project. Even the glass that you're seeing in these images is high performance glass, which changes slightly the color of the glass over the course of the day so that you can stop sunlight from heating up the inside of the building and therefore be able to use less air conditioning to keep the building cool. Here's a view from the interior courtyard side of the building that shows the main entry that you would access from the parking structure behind. You'll see that we've got an elevated outdoor deck on the 3rd level. We've got lots of kind of outdoor areas. What we're finding with developments like this is that the life science community here in San Diego is having to compete for talent as hard as any other industry is. And therefore, these buildings have really taken a quantum leap forward in the amount of outdoor amenities that they really try to provide their occupants. And we really try to encourage our clients, and Trammell Crow is definitely on board with this, that San Diego is one of 4 or 5 Mediterranean climates in the world. And that allows us to provide a lot of outdoor space for use by the tenants, which in other markets, just wouldn't be a factor. And then finally, this last image again kind of shows you the amount of outdoor amenity and gives you kind of a hint at the landscape upgrades that we'll be providing as part of the new development. We're very excited about the project. It's something that I think is going to gain a lot of attention in the marketplace. It's going to be very visible from the 805. And we really think that in the end, it's going to be a wonderful upgrade to Vista Sorrento and to the neighboring buildings. Any closing thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, just a couple. I think as Brian mentioned, we're really excited about this. We eat, sleep, and breathe these, so we get really passionate about what we're designing and what we're bringing to the community. This development is a fantastic location. We're eager to replace something that's a little bit older, outdated, functionally obsolete, and really underutilized with a building that directly supports what's happening in San Diego, the local growth and all of the economic drivers. So another point to just add is that not only will this redevelopment generate additional tax dollars, but the life science companies that we're targeting will be providing very high paying jobs and promote additional investment into the Mira Mesa community. So we think that that's a benefit overall, in addition to just a pretty building. The property sits at a very prominent location, as you all probably know, and in a very top tier community. And so we believe it deserves an aesthetic that is indicative of the overall area. So we're designing it to be best in class. It's going to attract companies that will represent the community positively. And overall, we're just huge believers in the market, the community, and really look forward to hopefully doing more business here. So we appreciate all your time this evening and would welcome any questions or comments before we wrap up.
Okay. Actually, why don't you close that just so I can see people. So I think it looks great. But are you doing this without actually having a company in mind? Do you have a client for it yet?
We don't. We do about half of our business speculatively, meaning we build these things and believe they will come. But the companies are migrating east a bit from Torrey Pines and UTC, and so the overall Mira Mesa area is the beneficiary of that. And so we're monitoring closely. We believe this is where they want to be. It's a great neighborhood and in close proximity to all the institutions, academic institutions, and we're just seeing a huge migration towards your area.
Okay, let's see, Lil has her hand up. Lil, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. My name is Lil Nover, and I'm the current president of the Sorrento Valley Town Council. So this project is going to impact Sorrento Valley. So I have a couple of questions. The traffic in Sorrento Valley is really, really bad. And it's Vista Sorrento Parkway. The road there has been bad for quite a few years. You're going to be bringing in huge trucks. And is there any, because they said when they widened Genesee and did some work, they would redo the roads in Sorrento Valley on Sorrento Valley Road and Sorrento Valley Boulevard. They haven't. So what are your plans for, like, I know you mentioned traffic, and you don't have anybody in the ready for the building yet, but the trucks are going to really tear up the road, which is already bad. What are your plans for that?
I think it's important to note that this is more consistent or similar to an office type use than it is an industrial. So it's not a warehouse where you're going to be getting a bunch of Amazon type trucks going in and out consistently. So
No,
I think that's good.
I'm sorry, I guess you misunderstood. When they're going to be designing and building the actual building, they're going to be bringing in trucks and hauling away, and it's probably going to take a couple of years to get the old building demolished and the new building built. So that's, what I was referring to, not so much, the traffic after it's built will be later, but, just the road construction, the building construction.
Sure. I did misunderstand, so apologies for that. Mike Hodges, do you have any thoughts on overall traffic caused in terms of truck traffic? I don't think it would be overwhelming since it's not a terribly large project, but maybe you have some thoughts.
I took the question the wrong way too, so I actually.
Sorry, I apologize.
I prefer to answer it this.
No problem. It's a good question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the construction is not 2 years. It's no more than about 12 months for the core and shell of the building. So, yeah, there'll be trucks going in and out periodically, but I don't really know how to satisfy your concern because in order to redevelop a property, that we have to do construction on it. But there will be traffic, and we'll mitigate it with traffic control as much as we have to, and do the best we can.
I was going to say that City of San Diego Development Services will be stipulating for construction, the hours of kind of any significant truck traffic in and out during demolition and then during the erection of the building. But even though it's a substantial project from its presence on the 805 from an overall construction effort, I think it's a lot less than you're anticipating as far as daily construction traffic, especially with the existing parking being maintained. I think you're going to find all of that construction parking is not going to be on Vista Sorrento. It'll be on the site itself.
Yeah, I think
right. You can't park on Vista Sorrento anyways, but can I get a copy of the presentation so I can show my board? Would that be possible?
Sure.
Okay.
No, happy to share.
Okay. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Perfect.
One more point to make is that we're on a section of Vista Sorrento that is 2 lanes and it has a bike lane. So we're on a wide section of it. So in the event, I don't anticipate it, but in the event a lane had to be closed for a little while to, let's say, do a new driveway approach or something like that, I think that it's wide enough to accommodate at that point 2 lanes in each direction. So.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Joe Frickle.
Yeah, I just want to voice a word of caution. The FBI is very sensitive about their property. So I would make sure that you are in touch with those people on everything going on with this so that there's no problems with egress or ingress as far as their property goes. They do have guns and they know how to use them.
I think the last thing we want to do is upset anybody with the FBI. So appreciate the note of caution.
Yeah,
we'll tread
and
lightly.
Just so you know, that the comment about access and so forth, we are utilizing the existing driveway, so we're not creating new entry points to the site at all.
Craig Jackson, I think I asked you to actually review the plans on this.
Yes, I actually had reviewed the plans, and I think it's going to be an elegant addition to the landscape along Vista Sorrento Parkway. I think you've still misunderstood part of Lil Nover's question, and that is there any plan to deal with damage to Vista Sorrento Parkway paving as a result of truck traffic in and out? That is not a good surface road, as is customary, I suppose, in San Diego and a lot of places. But I travel it a few times each week, probably 4, 5, 6. And I know how to escape the chuck holes, although they are not Midwestern chuck holes, which I'm very familiar with. I've never broken an axle, nor have I ever destroyed a tire and a rim in San Diego. I have in the Midwest, But that's, I think the issue is what will happen to the pavement of Sorrento Valley for Vista Sorrento Parkway as a result. Do you accept any responsibility for ensuring that that is remediated if there is damage?
You want me to take that one, Chris?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, standard protocol is that you have pre-construction meetings with the city engineers, public works and that sort of thing. You basically take account of all the existing conditions and any work that we're doing, you discuss them. And then they will not, in the end of the project, they will not give us our building final or our certificate of occupancy unless they come out and inspect again. And then we fix anything that might be on their list that was not pre-existing. So, I mean, it's pretty much, we have to do it. It's not whether we want to do it or not.
Well, I appreciate that because I think that it is going to be a tremendous landmark along Vista Sorrento Parkway, and to have the drivers going by dodging chuck holes is probably not the way to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig. Let's
We
I see
wouldn't
Kristen Camper has her hand up. Kristen.
Hi, Kristen Camper from Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. I was just curious, what kind of amenities are you looking for outdoors?
You know, there are a variety of amenities that will be provided on the project. For the most part, projects like this end up incorporating a lot of outdoor dining and meeting. So whereas there's really no restaurant per se, the ability for occupants of the building to get outside for lunch. So, some of those outdoor courtyards that face inwards towards the parking structure that we showed in that last slide really allow the tenants to use outdoor space, not only for dining, but even for meetings. And we've seen projects like this, the outdoor kind of impromptu meeting spaces be very heavily utilized by the tenants.
Okay.
We try to create an extension of the workplace outdoors. So it might be what feels like an outdoor conference room with shading or some sort of protection from the elements. Usually that's just wind in Southern California, but maybe you need some sunshine protection, and very rarely are you going to be out there when it's raining. We, depending upon what type of occupant ultimately ends up in there, we may spec out a fitness facility or indoor conference spaces. It just depends. Sometimes a tenant or a company may not want that. They might want to design all of that space on their own, but it just depends. It takes shape over the course of our construction, our design and our construction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I would just point out that I'm pretty sure you're in the accident potential zone for Miramar. And I guess I would just kind of recommend managing some expectations when it comes to using the outdoor space where you don't have sound attenuate, the benefit of sound attenuation, because that will be a noisy area, generally weekdays, during the workday. Quite frankly,
yeah, our office is half a block down the street, so we are both familiar with the condition of Vista Sorrento as well as what it sounds like when the jets fly over in the middle of the day. But yeah, we will definitely be doing that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thanks, Kristen. Appreciate you weighing in on this one.
Thank you.
Tiffany.
Well, hello, Trammell Crow team and Where Malcolm team.
Hello.
The project looks
Hi,
beautiful.
Tiffany.
I was actually wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on the sustainable approaches that you might be taking other than the exterior glazing that you mentioned. Just curious to find out what you're planning for this building.
For the most part, it's the energy performance of the building that I think is going to be first and foremost for its ability to kind of be sensitive to the environment. It's one of those things where what the state of California has done with their own internal regulations over the courses of the years have made the basic building code in California almost equivalent to LEED Silver. And for those of you who aren't aware, LEED is a international, I think at this point, certification process by which buildings can receive a certification for their energy performance. So they start out at bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and as I mentioned, complying with the California building code and Cal Green will pretty much get us within a stone's throw of LEED Silver. In addition to that, I just think the impact of being able to come back to that existing landscape with an entirely new concept that is drought tolerant and drought resistant is going to have a significant impact to kind of the water usage of the overall property.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that the elevation that it's going to create along Vista Sorrento is going to definitely elevate that entire street. So I really appreciate the presentation. It looks great.
All right, I see two more hands and then we'll take an action on this one. Sheldon, you're next.
Yeah, hi. I'm Sheldon with Councilman Chris Cates' office, the community representative. I know you're talking about paving. The gentleman said he'd have to pave some of the road. I also know that when you pave some of a road, it throws a moratorium on the rest of the road for up to 5 years. Could you please ask the city or somebody if that's going to impact the rest of Vista Sorrento or wherever you're doing the project on, that it doesn't throw a moratorium on that road to be paved?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not aware of that. I wasn't implying that, I don't know to what extent it would throw a moratorium on it. But what I was implying is that we would repair any damage that was done. And yeah, it would be partial, but it's not like we're, redoing the whole 2 lanes on our side of Vista Sorrento or anything. It's fixing any damage just to that extent. But I'll look into that for sure.
Yeah, would you please? I know in the past, been a community representative, District 7, they did a little bit of a road and all of a sudden you'd go back and find out that rest of the road was under a moratorium for 5 years. So I just wanted to bring up that point to you.
I think we've been trying to find out what the city might have going on with, in the works with Vista Sorrento, because they recently replaced some walls just south of this property. Some retaining walls in the parkway, and it looks like they're ready to upgrade some landscape. And I know it wasn't due to the association or developer, I don't think, of the area right there. I forget the name of that, Pacific Gateway or something like that on Director's Place. But it looks like they have plans to continue trying to widen and absolutely improve Vista Sorrento.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So it's an interesting question. I would hate to think that fixing some potholes that you create would then prevent the road from being improved further. If there's a regulation like that, we would ask our city councilman to change the regulation, Sheldon.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just know that it doesn't take much of an area to be paved over where it creates a moratorium for the rest of the road. So
yeah, I'll look into it. I've never heard that.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Andrew, you can have the last question.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. It was very good. Will there be space within the facility once you remodel it to have like little cafes, or are there like little food courts to minimize the traffic, people leaving to going for lunch to employees? If there's something like within the structure itself for people to have a bite to eat.
Yeah, I'll take that real quick, Chris, because if you guys are familiar with the CAP checklist, it's something that is put in force by the city, and it requires a lot of measures like that. And we did subscribe to, you can select from different options, but we did select that one. So a tenant or multi-tenants in that building would most likely, we would have a cafe in there or somewhere. We have ride sharing and carpooling, part of the Sandag, I think it's car sharing program. So we do have to comply with several of those items in the CAP environmental checklist, and that is one of them. to keep people on site. And Chris mentioned the gym, same thing, the gym, cafe, same thing.
So isn't
Thank
it, so that's a good idea, but I thought I remembered in looking through the information I got on your project that the Miramar overflight regulations do impact the ability to have a cafe in the building. Am I right?
I don't believe if it's for employees only, you're allowed 10% accessory use. So
Okay.
to my understanding, you can do whatever you want with that for the people that are on site. It's not for outside people to come in necessarily.
What the APZ2 classification is trying to make sure is that you don't have destination restaurants. They don't want an increased density of people on the site. But as far as that 10% accessory use, you're allowed to provide amenities to serve the population that would be there normally.
Okay. All right, someone want to make a
and
motion
Jeff,
on this
that's-
one?
I move that
Kristen,
we
did you have a
recommend-
comment?
Yeah, I was just to follow up on that, just to be clear. So the ACUS recommends against any kind of restaurant uses. We've generously kind of applied that to, the way that Brian was saying about, if it's a on-site use, then that's okay. The 10% accessory use, that is strictly a city land development code thing. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Okay, Craig, do you have a motion?
I move that we accept the proposal for the CDP NDP and that we request that appropriate remediation for Vista Sorrento Parkway be seriously considered during the development and construction process.
Okay, is there a second to that? Have a motion second. Any further discussion? In that case, Tiffany, call the roll.
Yes, and Andrew, were you the second on that? I'm sorry.
Yes, I was.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, Kent Lee.
Kent had to step out, I believe.
I see his picture on here, so we'll catch him maybe on. And Andrew, you seconded to that. Lilith.
Yes.
Yes.
This is
Ian,
Ken. Sorry, I had to get back to the mic. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Ian Kerman, did he join? No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Craig had made the motion. Ralph, Carolyn.
Yes, I approve.
Okay. Did John LaBelle join us?
No.
Joe?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Dorothy?
Yes.
I don't think Rose Long joined us. Craig?
Yes.
Julia, I saw that you joined us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Harkishan?
Yes.
Okay. Tiffany, yes. Marvin Miles, did he join?
No.
Nope. Justin Mendelbaum?
Yes, yes.
And did Mike Linton join us? No?
No.
Okay, all right. It's unanimous approval.
Great. How many was that?
That is $14.
14-0, you are approved. Good luck with your project. I think it looks very nice. Be a big improvement over what's there right now.
Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go on to our last item of new business. This is request for a community plan amendment initiation. This is informational at this point for a project at 805 and Carroll Canyon Road. And I didn't get the name for who's doing the presentation here.
Yes, my name is Todd Dwyer with On Point Development.
Yeah.
This is Chase McConnell. I'll be sharing my screen. I work with Todd.
Go ahead.
And also Ted Shaw with the Atlantis Group is also a part of the team, so he might be interjecting tonight a little bit as well. So, but yeah, Todd Dwyer with On Point Development, here with Chase McConnell with On Point Development and Ted Shaw with the Atlantis Group. We're real estate developers. We specialize in office, retail, and industrial type projects. We have a property in escrow in your area that is at the southeast corner of the 805 and Carroll Canyon Road. Did everyone receive the informational packet too, Jeffrey? That was sent in?
Yeah, I don't remember. Did I send that one out to people? No, I didn't.
Oh, you guys didn't receive that. Okay. Well, basically, it's 36 acres at that southeast corner. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the property. It sits kind of below Carroll Canyon Road. Chase, maybe if you wouldn't mind, you can kind of just show a site plan while I'm kind of describing the project that we're wanting to propose. But tonight, really why we're here tonight is to inform everyone that we've submitted what's referred to as the community plan amendment initiation, which basically is just to say, hey, we have a project that we'd like to talk about, and then we'll spend the next year or two preparing many studies and technical reports, working with the city, working with the community, and spending a lot of time and effort and energy to prepare something that everyone can be happy with. But that's all we're asking for tonight is just feedback for the process, feedback for your comments on what we'd like to propose to do, and also feedback that can get your approval. So it allows us to go forward and work with the city staff and with your group as well to come up with a plan that everyone can be happy with. So that is why we're here tonight. The project that we're showing, just to be clear, is no residential. It would be all life science space, most likely. The previous applicant kind of stole my thunder with describing the life science industry, so I won't bore all you guys with that again as well. So the site is 36 acres. We would be proposing to leave 75 to 80% of the site untouched and remain in the open state. Currently, the site is designated as open space, so we would want to propose 20 to 25% of the area to be our project. The access would come from Carroll Canyon Road, as you can see there, where it intersects Scranton. Basically, we'd be building a bridge that would have probably 2 piers on the other side of the creek, and then in the middle of the span there, and then connect to what would be a garage podium structure that is 5 stories underground, partially above ground, but mostly below ground. And then on top of that, that garage podium would be the 4 campus style buildings, as you see. Chase, maybe go to the next slide, just kind of give a little flavor of kind of the vision of what the building can look like. Maybe the amenity areas as well. If you have those, yeah, just gives it. Guys, this is one style that we came up with. We're very open to whatever style makes everyone happy, but the life science space obviously demands these type of amenities, like the previous applicant was kind of discussing with you. Let's see. Yeah, so really tonight, that's why we're here, to show you what our intention is for the property, to get your approval to allow us to go forward and spend a lot of money and spend a lot of time over the next 1 or 2 years here to come up with a plan that would then ultimately receive approval at that point in time. So tonight is just the approval to allow us to go forward with that process and see how everyone would like to comment on the project going forward.
Just a comment. So you're not an action item on the agenda, so we can't make a motion to approve your request. We can make comments on the project. That's really what we can do for you here. Okay, that'd be just fine. Obviously the STEM type of jobs is like the biggest positive, I think, for the project. The science, technology, engineering, and math jobs are growing at, I think, like 73% of the rest of the job base in San Diego. So it's a space that's really expanding to the benefit of San Diego. The prime industrial land area that is identified in the community plan is immediately adjacent to us. So we would propose that we would just be added into that area, which is a positive for the community. It introduces the PFFP, the Public Facilities Financing Plan. I'll try to say that 10 times fast. But that's obviously a benefit that can provide funding for the community and projects that might be slated in the area.
Otherwise, without allowing this project to go forward, then those would not be captured clearly. Just talk about traffic a little bit. I know traffic is a pretty important topic in your community. Being located right, next to the 805, it's obvious that most of our traffic is going to come from the 805, and would really seek to minimize traffic on Miramar and Mira Mesa as a result. The roadways in the immediate area are currently functioning at pretty decent levels, mostly A or B in the immediate area. We're also 2 miles from the coaster station and 2 blocks from the MTS bus stop. So there's definitely an opportunity to do some great TDM measures here with shuttles, transit passes, things of that nature that I think could help to limit traffic in the area. So just want to make everyone aware we're really focused on making sure we're identifying traffic and doing the best we can to not cause any more issues that you guys might be having with traffic in the area. The property does have an MHPA boundary on it. Out of the 36 acres, approximately 10.5 acres is not within the MHPA. So we would be proposing to put that 10.5 acres into the MHPA, and our site that we're proposing to disturb would take up about 7.2 acres. We've located the buildings in the least sensitive area of the site. If you look on Google, you'll see that the south west portion of this site has habitat that is least valuable relative to the other habitats that's on the site. So at the end of the day, we'd be actually increasing the MHP area by doing what I just stated. So we'd probably be adding about 3 acres back into the MHPA. Along with that, we would be, removing invasives. There's a lot of invasive type of habitat out there that needs to be cleaned up. Currently, that's not happening. It's not funded by anyone at this point. So we would be proposing that acreage that we, have, in the MHP at the end of the day, which we got, I guess, about 29 acres, that we would create an endowment for that area to be maintained forever, so that we wouldn't have to worry about any type of the invasives, coming in and kind of destroying the habitat naturally on its own. So that's a pretty good overview of what we're looking to do. Would love to hear comments from you guys.
So I have a few hands up with questions. I do just want to point out at the beginning, this area is open space in the community plan. So no industrial is anticipated or any other kind of development was anticipated on this site in the community plan. So it is a major change that they're requesting. So Craig Radke, you have the first question.
Yeah, Jeff, you kind of touched on my main point there was, so you're buying land that currently is designated as open space, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, the 36 acres is currently designated as open space.
But it's private property though?
That's correct. Yeah, it's private property, correct.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems like my opinion, just from going through that area, seems like a tough place to build. Not something I would like to see because it's a nice looking canyon, I think, as it is. And I know it's also, I'm no expert on flooding, but there's a lot of water runs through there in a rainstorm. So it just seems like between the flooding and the train track right nearby and the natural canyon wildlife that's there, seems like we could find better places to build, but that's just my opinion on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Julia?
Yes, this is speaking of traffic. I believe there are plans to move the coaster station, the train station, kind of to the area where you're planning on building, and it might be something worth exploring, whether you would be able to incorporate a new train station into your development. That might be of great benefit because I believe the city, right now it's cost prohibitive to move the train station because of the cost of acquiring the land, but maybe there is a possibility of private developer working with the city and incorporating it.
So I think that's on the other side of the freeway, isn't it? On the west side?
I'm not sure. It seemed
The existing one is.
tracks were running right behind the proposed buildings. But maybe I didn't read the map correctly.
This is Ted Shaw. That is something that we can look into, certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, Tiffany.
Yes, hi. I had a question in regards to the access. I saw that you were showing on the site plan the bridge access directly off of Scranton. And, you know, for 1 million square feet in such a large development, you know, I'm just curious about that access point and how wide that's going to have to be, and access around for safety, being that, you know, you only have one access point to that site for quite a large development. So I was just curious if you're exploring other options to that, or will there be multiple bridge access points, or is it just that one access point for the entire site?
Well, again, we're very early in this process, guys. You know, I'm you know, relative to getting a second access point, the site is challenged from an access perspective.
Sure.
So, you know, could there be a possibility of adding a second one in, you know, a little further east? Perhaps that could be looked at. But as we go forward, you know, that'll have to be studied very closely. You know, I don't have the answers for that right now, but certainly the intersection that's there now it's pretty wide. I mean, it's definitely designed to allow for, you know, a couple left turn lanes to be able to come in. There's already 2 left turn lanes, you know, shown being able to take a left onto Scranton. So the facilities that are there now are, you know, they're operating at very, very, you know, great levels of service as we speak. I think this particular intersection operates as an A right now. And it is wide enough to accommodate those 2 left-hand turn lanes. So, you know, how wide the bridge will need to be to allow that traffic to come in and, you know, obviously be safe and, you know, not be causing traffic problems. That'll have to be looked at, but we're not to that stage. You know, where we're at right now is to really take feedback, take notes. We're taking notes right now. As we, you know, meet with the city, we'll be doing the same thing and incorporating, you know, all these comments, you know, into the plan as we continue to move forward over the next couple of years.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, if you can unshare your screen so I can see. Sheldon, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Does this type of project throw off any development impact fees, or is that just residential projects?
It will include, if it is approved and added to the community, it will have development impact fees that are paid both for the community and citywide.
Great, thank you.
Jeff, one comment. I think that it's correct that the proposed alternative coaster station would be in that area. That was my recollection, but I haven't looked at those maps for a long period of time. I think the fact that it is going to go into open space, there needs to be some kind of trade-off, and I'm pleased to hear that you're willing to consider and think about the possibility of working with the city, because that coaster station could be a particularly important part of the future community plan, and the actual transportation corridor that Carroll Canyon Road is going to become one day, because it will be the primary route, I think, replacing at least some of the traffic from Mira Mesa Boulevard going from 805 to 15, because it will go through 3 routes and then ultimately through Stone Creek, so that traffic unloading by having a coaster station there may be particularly important.
Yeah, no, like Ted mentioned, we'd be very open to that conversation. I wasn't privy to the concept that they're looking to move location of the current stations. That's new information to me. Ted, were you were?
No, but we'll dig into it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a proposal, but so Craig, can you just clarify where it is though? Maybe I'm mistaken.
I thought it was where it was to be slightly to the east and about at the end of Scranton, because some of the considerations and discussions several years ago were to have it access to Scranton Road so that they could get up into all of that portion of Sorrento Mesa.
Craig, this is Ralph. It was supposed to be behind where the old WebSense building was. It was 1 mile south of the current station. And you can, if you're looking on Google Maps, there's a big parking lot area there right now. I don't believe that the site that these gentlemen are proposing is big enough to accommodate all the parking that was needed for the train station. So that's why it was going to be on the west of 805.
Oh, okay.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
That's what I remember too. This is Lil.
And the other thing I want to say about the site is it looks like it had been recently disturbed where they're proposing to put the buildings. So it's not as big of an impact as I initially thought it would be to the wildlife area there.
Yeah,
it was all recently disturbed when they upgraded the train tracks.
Yeah, it was disturbed also that many years ago, like 40, 50 years ago, whenever it was also a mining operation there in that southwestern portion of the site. So a large portion of where our buildings are being shown is really a disturbed space. It's not really any type of high quality habitat. As you move farther and farther towards the east, that's when you do start to impact a little bit more of the wetland. But there again, there's other areas in the site that are not within MHPA that could be put in MHPA and enhanced and created to, at the end of the day, have a net more habitat at the end of the day, approximately 3 acres more.
Kristen.
Yeah, hi, gentlemen. You probably heard my comment with the last project in regards to the outdoor amenity spaces and it being in the accident potential zone. Just, I haven't reviewed the project. It is probably going to be compatible as far as I can tell. But I did just want to point that out, that area will be exposed to a lot of noise during the week, during normal working hours.
Yeah, no, we understand that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I would encourage people to go drive by this site. Just drive west on Carroll Canyon Road to 805 and so you can see what it looks like. Other than that, as I say, this is just an information item. But presumably you guys will be back again.
Yes, we will, many times.
One thing I would like to mention too, regarding the floodplain that the previous gentleman mentioned, I'm actually a civil engineer, so I've done a lot of floodplain design throughout my career. And so we're aware of some flooding problems in the area, particularly downstream. And so whatever we do, we're gonna have to follow all the codes and guidelines of the Corps of Engineer, FEMA, so that we're not causing any problems. And in fact, it's possible that we can implement some measures that could even alleviate some of the flooding issues that have been occurring in the immediate area. So we're aware of that. It's an important topic. Just wanted you guys to know that that's not something we're taking lightly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to elected officials reports. I'm not sure who's here today. The United States Congress. I don't think I saw Andy here. State Senate. State Assembly. Board of Supervisors. I did see Amanda Berry, I believe.
Hi, everyone. I'm here as well. I think Evelyn's going to be joining you next time, but for today, you have me. For those of you who haven't met, my name is Amanda Berry. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm representing Supervisor Tara Lawson-Raymer. So I really appreciate the chance to give a few updates this evening. First, Supervisor Lawson Remer is committed to protecting San Diego County residents by getting dangerous ghost guns off of our streets. A growing number are 3D printed and assembled, evading background checks, registration, and all the requirements fulfilled by responsible gun owners. Ghost guns pose a threat to our community. In Escondido, in September, a man with multiple ghost guns opened fire on residents and an Escondido police officer. In response to this growing threat, Supervisor Lawson Remer has partnered with Chair Fletcher for a common sense gun reform, introducing policies to emphasize safety, prevention, and regulation. The Board of Supervisors will vote on this tomorrow at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and we encourage you to submit key comments in support, and I'll put that in the chat. Also, Supervisor Lawson Remer is taking action to ensure the county addresses the root causes of homelessness, mental health crises, and other social issues without relying on jails as our first line of response. The fact is that putting people who are sick, poor, or without a home in jail costs taxpayers a lot of money and doing nothing to actually address the root cause of the problems. During the pandemic, driven by public health and physical distancing protocols, law enforcement officials have been less likely to put people in jail for the types of minor offenses that I talked about before. So what happened as a result of the decrease in the jail population? And that's exactly what Supervisor Lawson Remer wants to find out with this board action. If passed, the board action will propose a multi-year empirical analysis to identify lessons learned from the pandemic and outcomes associated with the decrease in jail population. We're calling for a gap analysis to identify the holes in our current treatments, facilities, programs that can be then bridged to better serve the community as an alternative to incarceration. It's the first step, and I'll put more information in the chat. There was just an article in the Union Tribune if you want to read more. And if you aren't already signed up for our newsletter, I encourage you to do so, and always reach out to our office if you have questions or concerns.
Thank you, Amanda. Are there any questions for Amanda or for the supervisor today? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
We'll go on to Mayor's office. Michaela couldn't be here because this is her birthday tonight and she's having a celebration with her family, but she sent a very detailed report. I already distributed that to planning group members, but I will summarize some of it here. One is the Gold Coast and Parkdale timeline. The finalized plans will be done this month in October. It'll be advertised in November. Anticipated award beginning of construction will be May of 2022. And estimated construction completion will be June of 2023. So Chris Cates' successor will be able to go out and have a nice opening ceremony on the street. Hopefully he'll at least invite Chris along since he's been working on this for years. Phase 2, Mira Mesa Community Park, there's still some issues with that. The city is trying to meet new stormwater requirements without using any additional land. There is a deficit in the total amount that's needed to build the park. It needs $11 million. Thanks to the last phase of Casa Mira View, however, we now have about 10 million of that. They put 8.5 million into the FBA in June. So we're close to having enough money to do that, as well as Wangenheim and Sauk. There will be more money coming in from Three Roots, but we need to remember we need to also pay for the missing link of Carroll Canyon Road and the rec center at Three Roots Park out of that. So we need to manage this well enough. And I've been beating on Sheldon and others to make sure we do, to make sure all of those projects get built. By the way, to show what the impact of the Parks Master Plan would be, Casa Mira View, that last phase, put 8.5 million into the FBA that we can use for anything we want, with parks at this point being our highest priority. If they had waited until October when the Parks Master Plan went into effect, they would have paid $3 million and none of it could have been spent on parks. There's a bit more than that they would have paid, but that money would have gone down and we would never have seen any of it. So, you know, that's, if anyone's wondering why we were complaining about the impact of the Parks Master Plan, that's a good example. Also, homeless encampments, both Sheldon and Michaela have been working on the homeless problem, which of course is an issue in Mira Mesa and all across the city. Her main recommendation is to use the Get It Done app. The city does respond to those, and that gives them a record of homeless issues that they can continue to use. With that, we'll go on to Sheldon or Chris Kate.
Yeah. Hi. I really don't have a report this evening except to pick up on what you were saying. I think the phase 2. I know we were short some money, but I think that's fully funded now. At least that's the word I got. That all the funds will be there to complete phase 2. Sometimes on the homeless property, though, some of these folks are on Caltrans property. Therefore, it's not city property, and Caltrans has to then get involved with the San Diego Police and neighborhood policing, certain permits to get these people off. So it's not only a city problem, it's also with Caltrans also. And really that's, Michaela's had a very good report, as you know, Jeff, and you know,
yes,
some stuff I was going to say also, but that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Sheldon. Any other questions for Sheldon or for the council office? Okay. Kristen, MCS Miramar, are you still here?
I am. So I was just going to mention with the homeless encampments, you know, we have, you know, some areas of property along Miramar Road, particularly over towards the 805. And if anybody's, and we also actually own a little piece of a corner off of Kearney Villa Road and Miramar Road, right next to a car dealership. And so the installation has been having an issue with homeless encampments in different parts of the base as well. So if anybody sees anything, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll let our military police know about it. But I did have a couple things to report. So Miramar is pretty busy right now. We've got a Navy Top Gun squadron here visiting. They've brought a couple of F-35s, F-16s, F-18s with them to train. The Air Force is also, I think, going to be here a little bit later this month. They'll be training, I think, with F-16s. We are going to be doing field carrier landing practices over the next couple of weeks during the days and a few evenings as well. Those should be wrapping up by 10 o'clock at night at the latest. And it won't be every night, but it will be a few nights here in the next 2 weeks. And then also, Jeff, I'll reach out to you, but we'll see if we can get Colonel Bedell to call into a meeting soon, and I'll talk to you about when that would work for you on the agenda.
Good. Hey, just let me know.
All right, thanks. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions?
Kristen, you're doing a great job.
Thanks, Joe. I was tempted to tell everybody to make sure that any Air Force complaints get forwarded to you as appropriate, but I wasn't going to say anything.
I have broad shoulders. Send them on.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Any elected officials reports I missed? Didn't think so. Okay. We'll go on to announcements. Are there any announcements tonight?
Jeff, one comment I would make, there was an article in the Union Tribune today about parks evaluation and a report that had been submitted to the city in 2019, which actually has some errors in it. Mira Mesa got moved into District 5 on the community
Oh.
park at least. And I think one should ask someone, and I'm not sure who's the appropriate person, Sheldon. You're sitting right in front of me on the screen, but whether that has any adverse consequences with regard to the park master plan, because undoubtedly from my reading of it, it has some underlying hints of the rationale for the park master plan.
Okay, send me an email with your question, please.
Sure.
That would be wonderful. This way I can look at it and know where to go to. Okay?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
I saw the article and I looked through the list of parks they had that were in fair or poor condition. I didn't see any Mira Mesa parks in there. Did I miss one?
I had to look actually at the report. I didn't look at the lists in the article.
Oh.
Because it was easier to look vertically for me than to look across the lots.
So were there any Mira Mesa parks on that list?
Yes, there were about 5 of them.
In the poor or fair category?
No, there were none in the poor category. There were basically, most of them were in a fairly good shape. Not in the best, but I think pretty much what most of us know from looking at the parks around us.
Okay.
Where was that report?
It was on this article in the San Diego Tribune, but I'll send you the report, Joe.
All right, thanks.
Okay, any other announcements?
Yeah, I have a couple. I finally got a response from the city. I think you're copied on that, Jeff, that Wagenheim will be started in December. And SOC will probably be started in January or February. But the way the city has done things for the last year and a half, we can only hope.
Yeah, I thought they had to put SOC back out to bid again or something, didn't they?
Yeah, but you know, the way that the city does this, I mean, I don't know whether it takes 3 days to do another bidding or 3 weeks to do another bidding. They don't give us any information on this process. They just say, well, we're doing this, and they don't update us at all. I mean, I really had to pressure them to even get that information out of them. So, and Sheldon, you know, I know Sheldon is bugging them also. But, you know, the city is supposed to respond within 48 hours of day, you know, work days for requests, and they go for a week and don't answer anything. And I just don't know what to do.
Joe, I think that's gone out to bid for Salk the second time because the first time something happened. So I think by the end of the year, they'll have their contractor. That project will probably end a little bit further on down the line than Wagenheim. Wagenheim is supposed to be what, June 22?
No, that was supposed to be in May of 2020.
Well, I know. Yeah, I'm with you, but I think Salk will be maybe 6-7 months because there's a lot more to do at Salk than Wagenheim, ADA, et cetera. So, yeah.
Sheldon, the problem I have is Wagenheim affects several hundred students because that's going to disrupt their physical education programs. And so the principal and the athletic people there need to know when this is going to start and when it's going to finish so they can process how to let those kids have their physical education requirements for what they do in their schools. SOC is a different thing because it's outside of the school property, but Wagenheim is critical to how those kids are going to be able to do their physical exercise And to keep delaying this and never give us a definite day when it's going to start is just bonkers, because right now, I would say, let's don't do anything until May when they don't have to do any more physical exercise, and then start it then.
Joe, send me that question, please. I will
Okay.
pass it on. I will pass it on the way you phrase it.
Sheldon, I know the principal at SOC would be really, really happy if that part could be done before the start of the next school year.
Jeff, it's going to take a year to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ADA work on SOC, but Joe, send me your question on, you made a good point, and I'll certainly pass it along, Joe. You know me.
Yes, I do, Sheldon. You're doing a great job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Any other announcements, Pam?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in on behalf of the Mira Mesa High School Sapphire Sound Band and Color Guard. Those students are doing a great job both getting ready for their own field tournament that's coming up the first Saturday in November, which I believe is November 6th, when bands from all over are going to be performing on the field, and getting ready to march in the 2022 Rose Parade. And they are seeking sponsorships to try to help defray the expenses of the Rose Parade trip. So I know that the Mira Mesa Town Council is going to be posting something on Town Council website, and you can find out information on the Sapphire Sound's own website and Facebook page. But just wanted to let everybody know that individuals and businesses who might like to sponsor for the Rose Parade, the musicians are doing an excellent job.
I just want to add one point to what you had to say. Was it you that I asked for you to get a hold of Tara Lawson-Reamer, District 3 supervisor for funding for the band?
I'm not directly involved, but so I don't know, but I could pass that word along.
I got a call from somebody, and she asked me regarding funding, and I told her that we would like her to go to District 3 supervisor and ask for the funding there. And I just don't remember her name right now.
I will reinforce that. Yeah,
Thank you.
Amanda has just made herself visible again.
I'm happy to share information about our community enhancement or neighborhood reinvestment program grants. So Pam or Sheldon, feel free to reach out to me, and I can get you in touch with Cipriano from our office who manages our grants. We're actually doing a webinar on the 21st on how to apply for them and what qualifies and all of the questions you might have about those. So I can send you information, but I'll put it in the chat in a second.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to reports. CPC, the main item at CPC was the 2021 Land Development Code update. They do this every once in a while. There were 35 items on it. Most of them were more or less innocuous, just minor changes to make the land code consistent with the state land code primarily. But there were a couple of surprises there, and CPC recommended against two of these items. The first one would prohibit drive-throughs in TPAs to encourage more active travel and improve pedestrian experience. So if that went through, no drive-throughs would be allowed anywhere near Mira Mesa Boulevard. You know how many we already have there. So there was one of the mall owners who was at the CPC meeting who was extremely unhappy about that, and CPC suggested they not do that. The other one was a regulation that removes personal storage requirement for multi-unit residential uses. Currently, multifamily housing has to have some storage space for the residents, and this would have removed that requirement. So, yeah, I guess people aren't supposed to have cars and aren't supposed to have stuff in the future, I guess. So anyway, we didn't like those two. Otherwise, the rest of them were minor. Okay, we'll go on to Penasquitos Canyon, Pam.
Okay, I was just looking over the calendar. I believe the September LPCP CAC meeting was on the third Thursday in September, which was before the third Monday. So I reported last month on our most recent meeting. We don't have an October meeting because we meet every other month. So the next meeting will be on the third Thursday in November, which is coming up on, it's the week before Thanksgiving, whatever. I'm just looking at my calendar right here. It looks like it is November the 18th.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Is there any other business tonight that we have forgotten?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.